For years, the idea of XRP replacing SWIFT has been a hot topic, sparking endless debates. The vision? Ripple leveraging XRP to move the trillions of dollars that currently flow through SWIFT, creating massive value for XRP holders. It's an exciting thought, seeing XRP potentially hit jaw-dropping price predictions. But let's pause for a moment. It's not as simple as multiplying SWIFT's transaction volume by XRP's supply and calling it a day. That's just not how the real world works. Sure, if Ripple and SWIFT ever joined forces, XRP would skyrocket in value, but many overlook the practical steps needed to bring this vision to life. In this video, I'll break down the realities of how Ripple and SWIFT could collaborate and what it would really take for XRP to reach those legendary dollar figures everyone's buzzing about. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I hope by the end of this video, you'll join the growing community by hitting that subscribe button. Diving right in, let's take a step back to September 2023, when I said that for SWIFT to maintain its role in the global economy, it must start working with private innovators like Ripple. Even MasterCard's CEO hinted that SWIFT could become obsolete within 5 years. So, is Ripple the key to its survival? Let's explore. Adapt or die, a phrase that couldn't be more relevant in today's rapidly evolving world. The financial giants of the globe face a critical moment. It's time to plan their next moves with precision. Think about it. Those public networks, the backbone of the financial system, must modernize. Just like banks upgrading to ISO 2022 standards, these upgrades aren't optional, they're mandatory. Take SWIFT, for example. Sure, it's the backbone of international money transfers, connecting over 11,000 banks worldwide, but let's face it, it's painfully inefficient for moving money across borders. This is where the debate heats up. Many wonder, why doesn't SWIFT just build something similar to Ripple and XRP to fix the problem? The answer? They've tried and failed. Matt Hamilton, a former Ripple employee, debunked this idea in 2022. He explained that SWIFT experimented with Corda IRC, but it fell flat. Why? Because it simply doesn't work without a public token. The message is clear. Even the most powerful systems can't escape the need to innovate or risk becoming relics of the past. This question often comes up, could large banks create a copycat XRP ledger? Honestly, it doesn't matter if they try. What makes XRP so valuable and unique isn't something you can just replicate. It's the decentralized, open nature of its ledger. The beauty of the XRP ledger lies in its accessibility. Anyone, anywhere in the world can use it today. There are no gatekeepers, no barriers. It's this openness that sets XRP apart and positions crypto networks as a powerful alternative to systems like SWIFT. Take Russia, for example. Their goal has been to escape the SWIFT system due to sanctions. In theory, they could turn to the XRP ledger for cross-border transactions, but here's the catch. It's not enough to simply transact. Eventually, they'd want to cash out, convert those trades or payments into tangible value, like depositing funds into a bank account. And that's where the challenge lies. If you're sanctioned by nearly every major bank, you're stuck. The ledger might open the door, but the broader financial system still holds the key to fully leveraging those profits. Even with everything going on, you can still trade, make payments, and do business on the XRP ledger without interruption. This brings us to the concept of walled gardens. It's been a buzzword for a while, but here's the kicker. SWIFT needs a public token. That's why we're seeing SWIFT leaning harder into the digital asset space. Back in January, they acknowledged that digital assets could revolutionize how securities are traded, more innovative, efficient, and seamless. But here's the catch. The tokenization ecosystem is still fractured, holding back its scalability and widespread use. In short, interoperability is the missing key to unlock its full potential. Interoperability is the key here, and it's hard not to connect the dots to Ripple or even SWIFT. Remember last November? SWIFT hinted at something big and it immediately brought Ripple to mind. Now, take a look at what Subjective View shared. They're laser focused on how their network can transfer and exchange tokenized value seamlessly across public and private blockchains, while also connecting CBDCs on a global scale. These aren't just ideas. This is straight from Javier Perez-Tasso, SWIFT CEO. He's openly discussing the future of tokenized value exchange and blockchain interoperability with CBDCs in the mix. It's a bold vision, and it's happening now. Oh, and SWIFT, definitely worth keeping an eye on.
90% of SWIFT payments today reach the beneficiary bank within an hour, putting the in-flight time well within the G20 goals. And as an industry, we can go even further. Having ISO 222 across the community will drive a major uplift in data quality, which is an essential component for an even better end client experience, but as well stronger compliance and, of course, innovation. Innovation that is rapidly accelerating here in Asia, as in other parts of the world, where we're seeing big advancements in technologies and business models that, face it, are truly transforming the landscape. Because the reality is in the future, there will be many more ways to move value, not fewer. And people will demand more choice, not less. So an area that we're very much focused on is how our network can be used to exchange, to transfer tokenized value across public and private blockchains, as well as to interlink CBDCs globally, with SWIFT as a single window, creating an end-to-end tracking, transparency, traceability, and trust across all transactions.
Why does Ripple immediately come to mind when thinking about the XRP ledger? Because when it comes to public blockchains, few are as tailored for the job as XRP. Ripple has made its vision clear time and time again, and here's why it matters. Take Swift, for example. It's just a messaging network. It doesn't handle clearing or settlement. Instead, it relies on third parties to do the heavy lifting. What if Ripple entered the picture? Suddenly, Ripple takes center stage. Why? Because no one is better positioned to clear and settle global transactions seamlessly. With Ripple stepping in, Swift isn't just stuck in the past, it's catapulted into the future of payments. This shift has been hinted at for years. In fact, back on April 16th, Smokedog highlighted this, tying blockchain ISO 2022 and the game-changing dates of July 2025 and November 2025 into one big picture. Keys to success. For banks and financial institutions to thrive, they must tackle challenges with a holistic approach powered by modern technology, leveraging secure API integrations, blockchain solutions, and advanced biometric verification not only strengthens security, but also ensures compliance and reliability in payment transformation. By doing so, risk management shifts from a liability to a competitive advantage. Looking ahead, ISO 2022 is set to become the standard for U.S. financial services by July 2025, while cross-border payments via SWIFT will require compliance starting November this year. Fast forward to April 2025, and major milestones are already in sight. By Q4 of this year, SWIFT will officially integrate DLT-based products into the ISO 2022 messaging standard, marking a transformative step forward. Here's the game changer: a significant initiative to promote interoperability and automation across issuance, trading, settlement, and distribution, spanning both traditional and DLT-based securities, is ICMA's Bond Data Taxonomy, BDT. To amplify its impact, ICMA has joined forces with SWIFT to seamlessly integrate the BDT into the ISO 2022 messaging standard. This is rapidly gaining traction among financial institutions across capital markets, revolutionizing trading, settlement payments, and reporting processes. Launched in Q1, this initiative is projected for completion by Q4 this year, and all the details are outlined here. As you can see, this ties directly into the ICMA's response to the HAMTI and UK DMO's announcement regarding their preliminary market engagement exercise for a digital instrument pilot. Here's where they've broken it all down. This initiative is closely linked to the DLT ICMA DLT Bonds Working Group, which brings together issuers, banks, investors, market infrastructures, law firms, data providers, and tech providers to collaborate across international debt capital markets. The developments are listed here, but beyond that, we also have this key initiative. I've reviewed this, along with the section below, which highlights steps the private sector can take to drive greater DLT adoption. Ultimately, when we zoom out, it's clear that DLT and blockchain-based companies are becoming increasingly intertwined with major industry players. Honestly, Ripple doesn't seem to need to do much more for their entire stack to gain adoption, which means the XRP ledger and XRP could follow suit seamlessly. Let's circle back to Swift for a moment. Why does Swift matter here? Well, first off, they've confirmed they're integrating DLT-based products into the ISO 2022 messaging standards. This signals they're gearing up to connect with both public and private blockchains, exactly what their CEO hinted at recently. But there's more. It's already documented that Swift's messaging standards can seamlessly integrate with Ripple. Regulators like the Federal Reserve will continue to oversee and enforce rules, but messaging hubs like Swift are clearly open to innovation. The fact that Swift can align with Ripple's infrastructure is a game changer. And here's where it gets even more exciting. Crypto Area recently highlighted a RippleNet update with Eric Van Miltenburg, Ripple's SVP of Strategic Initiatives. Could RippleNet be positioning itself as a Swift alternative or even a replacement? Stay tuned because this is big.
We're providing infrastructure in the form of a messaging product, kind of a Swift update or replacement. Since then, we work with our customers. We make sure we're compliant. I think that's obviously a critical part of the infrastructure that we need to keep very much top of mind. And we move at their pace. Sometimes that's very frustrating when you're dealing with large traditional financial institutions, but the speed at which they want to operate and iterate and innovate is increasing dramatically.
When we talk about Swift and the idea of Ripple stepping in as its replacement, it's hard not to reflect on the past. Ripple has hinted at this vision for years. Take David Schwartz, for example. He recently emphasized their goal, creating a payment network like Swift, but with a twist. Imagine a network where settlements and money transfers happen through a decentralized, open system. That's the XRP ledger in action, an open platform anyone can access, designed for seamless, invisible money movement as effortless as sending information. This concept isn't new. Rewind to 2017 and you'll find Ripple leaders discussing similar ideas. Anderson even said, if Swift fixes payments for us, great. It's one less thing we have to worry about. Ripple's mission has always been clear: reimagine how money flows globally and make it as smooth and accessible as possible. Payments are the new messaging. XRP, that settlement real, tangible movement of funds. Starting to see the bigger picture yet? And no, they're not here to kill Swift. Ripple isn't replacing Swift either. In fact, if Swift wanted, they could partner with Ripple tomorrow, and it would make perfect sense. Even Brad Garlinghouse hinted at this recently on Fox. Shout out to Riz XRP for catching that. The wordplay has always been fascinating, modernizing the Swift network, the Trump effect, and Ripple's role in it all. Here's Brad Garlinghouse himself talking Swift. Pay close attention.
The market opportunity here is massive. You have trillions of dollars flowing cross-border globally. It's still largely dominated by the SWIFT network, if you will. And that's architecture, that's a technology architecture that's developed 50 years ago. There's an opportunity to modernize. That takes time, particularly when you have a government in the U.S. kind of combating that innovation. But that's changing now. The Trump effect, if you will, is profound. You're seeing that in asset prices, but you're also going to see that in the adoption of these technologies.
Let's face it, Swift is outdated, right? It's time for a serious upgrade. Now imagine this. What if tomorrow we woke up to the news that Swift was partnering with Ripple to integrate XRP and the XRPO for transactions? Just think about how massive that announcement would be. Not only would it shake up the financial world, but the sheer volume and value flowing through Ripple via XRP would skyrocket instantly. And then there's the big question: how much would XRP itself be worth after something like that? While we don't have concrete answers yet, one thing we do know is the power of network effects. Look at Bitcoin. Its value today is largely driven by those effects. Now apply that to XRP in this scenario, the potential enormous. This kind of partnership could catapult XRP's value into a whole new league, and we all know it. But the real question is, will it happen? Personally, I think it's just a matter of time. It makes too much sense not to. Ripple's connection to Swift has been a recurring topic, and for good reason. Many of Ripple's key partners, like Volante, for instance, have direct links to Swift. If Swift is truly serious about embracing public and private blockchains, revolutionizing value transfer, and upgrading their outdated 50-year-old technology, Ripple would be a logical choice. And honestly, I believe it's only a matter of time. While we can't pinpoint the exact moment, we do have a timeline to watch closely, Q4 of this year. By then, the landscape will look completely different, and it's not just about market prices. We're talking massive shifts in the stablecoin market, the rise of tokenization, and unprecedented levels of adoption. The biggest players in the game are already making moves toward crypto in a big way. As for Swift, they've openly said they're ready. They've acknowledged their interest in digital assets. So the question isn't if, but when they'll take the leap. They're diving into digital assets. They're exploring tokenization. Take the DTCC, for example, another major player stepping into the game. But here's the thing. This isn't just about public vs private blockchains. It's about something bigger. Interoperability. A private blockchain alone isn't enough. You can't build in a closed off system. That's where XRP and Ripple come into play. For nearly a decade, people have speculated about Ripple and XRP replacing Swift. But it's not about replacement. It's about evolution. It's about upgrading Swift with Ripple's tech and XRP's potential. This is where things get exciting. The possibilities here are groundbreaking, and the journey is just starting. If you're as intrigued as I am, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. Thanks for watching.